When Daniel's fiancée went live during her girls' night, he never expected it to become the end of their engagement. He was lounging on the couch that Friday night, scrolling through social media, half watching a movie, and waiting for sleep to come. That's when he saw the notification. Tina is live, spilling tea, pre-wedding shenanigans. Out of mild curiosity, he clicked. The screen lit up with laughter. Tina sat in the center, glass of wine in hand, surrounded by her friends, Carol, Janet, and Mia. The conversation started harmlessly enough. Wedding dresses, color themes, flower arrangements. Then Carol leaned in, grinning mischievously. "So, Tina, how's Mr. Perfect holding up? Still doing that cute little accountant thing with his spreadsheets?" Tina burst into laughter. "Oh my God, Daniel is so clueless. He thinks this whole wedding thing is about budgets and to-do lists. He has no idea about the real stuff." Janet smirked. "Like how you're planning to re-educate him on interior design once you move in together?" The girls roared with laughter. At first, Daniel forced a smile. He told himself it was just harmless teasing. But then Tina, already tipsy, leaned back and said, "Honestly, sometimes I think he's more in love with his job than with me. But that's okay. He's manageable, and the paycheck's good. Once I train him a bit, he'll fund my dream house and dream vacations." The words hit him like cold water. Mia chimed in, "You've got him wrapped around your little finger, girl." Tina giggled, tilting her head playfully. "Yeah, he's predictable. He'd never suspect a thing. Thinks I'm his sweet little angel." She even made a mock halo over her head as her friends laughed harder. That's when Daniel's chest tightened. The laughter in the video suddenly sounded cruel, foreign. He didn't feel angry, not yet. It was more like a quiet click inside his mind, that strange, icy moment when everything makes sense all at once. Without thinking too much, he typed into the live chat under his real account, "Am I?" Carol's laughter stopped first. She leaned toward the phone, squinting. Tina," she whispered, nudging her friend. Tina frowned, blinking at the screen. Then she saw it. Her smile froze. "Oh my God," she breathed, going pale. Daniel typed again, calmly this time. "Since you're sharing everything publicly, let's make it clear. The wedding's off. Engagement over. You can keep your dream house, just find someone else to fund it." Panic erupted. "End the live, Carol." Tina shrieked, fumbling with her phone. The camera shook wildly as the laughter turned into chaos. The last thing Daniel saw before the stream cut off was her horrified face and her friend's stunned silence. He set the phone down on the coffee table, his hands strangely steady. He didn't cry, didn't yell. He just sat there for a long time, listening to the quiet hum of the fridge and the pounding of his own heart. The engagement ring, a custom piece they'd designed together, sat heavy on the table beside his phone. 15 minutes after the live ended, Daniel's doorbell rang. He already knew who it was. Through the peephole, he saw Tina standing there, her mascara running down her cheeks, her mother, Mrs. Daniels, right beside her, arms folded and face red with anger. When he opened the door, Tina immediately reached for him. "Daniel, please, it wasn't what it looked like," she sobbed. "It was just girl talk, wine, jokes, stupid things. I didn't mean it." Her mother added sharply, "Young man, you humiliated my daughter in front of everyone. You don't end an engagement through a comment section." Daniel stared at both of them, his expression calm but hollow. "Was it a joke when you said I was clueless? Or when you said I was manageable, a paycheck for your dream house?" Tina stammered. "No. I mean, yes. Yes, I said it, but I didn't mean it like that. I was drunk, and Carol kept pushing me to say things." Her mother interrupted again. "You are overreacting." She was letting off steam. "You men can't even handle a little fun." He shook his head slowly. "Mrs. Daniels, with all due respect, your daughter didn't just embarrass me. She exposed what she really thinks of me and of our relationship. This isn't about a joke. It's about honesty. And right now, I don't see any." Tina's tears came harder. "You're ruining everything. My dress, the venue, our friends. Everyone's seen it now. How can I show my face?" Daniel's tone didn't change. You did that when you went live. I just responded. Mrs. Daniels huffed angrily. You are not canceling this wedding, Daniel. Deposits have been paid. Guests invited. You will fix this mess. Rachel, she stopped herself, then corrected. Tina is a good girl. She just made a mistake. Daniel met her glare evenly. Then she can learn from it. Because this engagement is over. Mrs. Daniels's jaw dropped. You're making a fool of yourself, she snapped. But he only said, better a fool now than a husband later who regrets it every day. The shouting stopped after that. Tina's sobs filled the silence. When Daniel quietly asked them to leave, Mrs. Daniels glared one last time before tugging her daughter away. The moment the door clicked shut, he exhaled deeply. The apartment felt too still, too quiet. His phone was lighting up again, dozens of notifications, calls from Tina, her mother, even her friends. He silenced it, poured himself another drink, and stared at the engagement ring on the table. It glittered faintly under the lamp, now just a symbol of something broken. By the next morning, the fallout had begun. His inbox was flooded, messages from mutual friends, some apologetic, others accusing him of being too harsh. A few said he should have talked it out privately. He didn't bother replying. What was there to say? He had heard her own words, unfiltered and unprovoked. Still, beneath the calm, a dull ache sat heavy in his chest, grief for the version of Tina he thought he knew. Then came the chaos. Around noon, his office receptionist called. Daniel, there's a situation in the lobby. His heart sank when she added, your fiancé and her mother are here. He went down to find Tina crying in front of the front desk while Mrs. Daniels argued loudly with security. You can't just walk away from your responsibilities, she shouted. My daughter deserves respect. Daniel's boss, Mr. Howard, appeared from the hallway, eyebrows raised. Handle your personal life, Daniel, just not here. Security escorted them out gently, but firmly. Tina tried to reach for Daniel one last time. Please, can we just talk? She begged. You can't end everything over one stupid video. He stepped back. You ended it, Tina. I just accepted it. Her mother hissed. You'll regret this.
He didn't respond.
Back upstairs, Daniel sat at his desk, face blank. His coworkers avoided eye contact. The humiliation of having his breakup play out in the office lobby was unbearable, but under it all, he still felt oddly certain. That evening, he received an email from a law firm, Samuel and Company. The letter was signed by Mr. Samuel, attorney for Miss Tina Daniels. It claimed Daniel owed compensation for emotional distress and public humiliation, plus reimbursement for all non-refundable wedding expenses. The total? $15,000. Daniel almost laughed. He forwarded the email to his lawyer, Miss Christine Holt, who replied within an hour, Let me handle this. And from that moment, things started getting truly messy. Miss Christine didn't waste time. She called Daniel the next morning, her tone calm and razor-sharp. Daniel, I've reviewed their claims. They don't have a leg to stand on. You owe them nothing. She explained that Tina's own public behavior had legally breached what lawyers call the good faith intent of an engagement. She went live mocking you, talking about using your money. That's evidence she didn't intend to marry in sincerity. We'll respond formally. Daniel nodded, relief washing over him. Thank you, Christine. I just want it done quietly. She chuckled dryly. Quiet isn't her style, I'm afraid. Within a week, Christine sent an official letter to Mr. Samuel, dismissing every demand. It stated that Tina had voluntarily and publicly defamed her fiancé, thus nullifying any grounds for financial restitution. It also warned that any further harassment would trigger legal counteraction. When Daniel read the document, he felt the first real sense of control since the nightmare began. For once, he wasn't reacting, he was defending himself. Tina, however, didn't stop. If anything, rejection fueled her anger. She began calling Daniel from unknown numbers, leaving tearful voicemails that shifted between begging and fury. How could you do this to me? You humiliated me in front of everyone, she cried in one message. Another time, her voice cracked with rage. You think you're so perfect? You'll never find someone like me again. Daniel stopped listening after the 10th call. He blocked every number, but new ones appeared every day. Soon the petty revenge started. His Netflix password stopped working. His email pinged with password reset notifications. Then came a bigger hit, an alert from his credit card company about $800 in new charges. When he checked, it was all expensive skincare and luxury perfumes. Tina had been an authorized user on the card. He called the company immediately. That was unauthorized, he said flatly. She no longer has permission. The representative froze the account and began investigating. Daniel sent every bit of documentation to Christine, screenshots, transaction logs, timestamps. She replied within the hour. This paints a pattern, Daniel. Harassment, financial retaliation, emotional instability. All of this strengthens your defense if they pursue anything further. He stared at the message for a long moment, the reality sinking in. His fiancée, the woman he'd once wanted to build a life with, had turned into someone who would use fraud to lash out. Even his mutual friends began to divide into camps. Some called to say they supported him completely. Others took a softer tone. She's sorry, Daniel, one friend said. She was just drunk and showing off. But Daniel had replayed that live stream in his mind 100 times. He could still hear Tina's laugh when she called him manageable. He replied, if that's her version of showing off, imagine what she'd do when angry. That ended the conversation quickly. The venue became the next battlefield. The wedding hall refused to refund the $8,000 deposit, even though the event was canceled. Daniel had paid half, Tina's parents the other. Her lawyer argued Daniel should forfeit his share and reimburse their half. Christine countered firmly that the cancellation was directly caused by Tina's own behavior, which constituted a fundamental breach. The standoff dragged for weeks. The stress was draining, but Daniel stayed composed. Every time doubt crept in, he remembered that live stream. It steadied him. Late one night, sitting alone in his apartment, he watched the old video one last time. The laughter, the fake halo, the smirks. He didn't even feel anger anymore. Just sadness. The person he thought he loved didn't exist. She'd been performing for attention, not partnership. He whispered to himself, better I saw this now than after vows. Then he closed the laptop, deleted the saved file, and went to bed. But unknown to him, Christine had already kept her own secure copy. 2 months later, the situation exploded again. Christine called one morning with a warning. Brace yourself, she said. They're escalating. Tina's lawyer, realizing the emotional distress argument had failed, shifted tactics. Now, they were suing Daniel for breach of contract, claiming he unilaterally canceled the wedding and caused financial loss. Daniel rubbed his temples, exhausted. They can't be serious. Christine's tone was icy calm. Oh, they're serious. But so am I. And I've got that live stream ready. When the lawsuit papers officially arrived, Daniel wasn't even surprised anymore. The claim stated he had damaged the reputation and emotional stability of his fiancée and caused significant financial loss by calling off the wedding. Christine, however, was ready for battle. We'll countersue, she said confidently, and we'll use her own live stream as evidence of intent. She had already saved copies of the full video and the comment thread, showing every mocking word Tina said before Daniel ever typed a single response. At the pre-hearing stage, the opposing lawyer, Mr. Samuel, tried to sound intimidating. My client simply seeks justice for the public humiliation she endured, he argued. Christine leaned back, smiling faintly. Justice? You mean the live stream where she bragged about manipulating her fiancé for money? She slid a USB drive across the table. Here's the full footage and timestamps. Watch before you file anything else. The color drained from Mr. Samuel's face. Within 48 hours, he reached out to discuss a settlement. In the end, both sides lost their deposits, frustrating but manageable. Daniel accepted the loss as the final price for peace. At least it's over, he told Christine. She sighed. I wish I could promise that. And she was right, because soon after, New trouble began, the kind that attacked his reputation, not his wallet. Someone, very likely Tina or her loud-mouthed friend Carol, started spreading rumors online. Ugly rumors. It began subtly, vague posts about toxic men who destroy women's lives. Then it got personal. Several of Daniel's female colleagues received anonymous messages claiming he was controlling, emotionally abusive, even manipulative with money. One message hinted that he'd been fired for misconduct, which wasn't even remotely true. When Daniel's boss called him into the office, his stomach dropped. "We received an email about you," his boss said carefully. "Anonymous. We're required to look into it." Daniel felt humiliation burn through him, but he stayed composed. He told his boss everything about the engagement, the live stream, the aftermath. "Sir, it's all retaliation," he said. "You know my record. I've been here 5 years without a single complaint." His boss nodded slowly. "I believe you, Daniel. HR will run a quiet review. Just sit tight." It was the longest week of his life. But when HR cleared him, confirming the claims were baseless, the relief was overwhelming. Still, the damage to his peace of mind was done. That was the breaking point. It wasn't just about heartbreak anymore, it was about defending his integrity. Daniel met Christine in her office the next day. "We're done being reactive," she said. "We go on offense." She's crossed into defamation and harassment. Together, they drafted a detailed cease and desist letter, citing workplace interference, cyber harassment, and attempted fraud. But when the false rumors didn't stop, Christine took it a step further. She filed for a restraining order. The hearing was surreal. Tina arrived in court wearing a cream blouse and fake tears, clutching tissues like a stage prop. Her mother, Mrs. Daniels, glared daggers at Daniel from across the aisle. Carol sat at the back, arms folded, wearing an almost smug smile. Mr. Samuel began with a dramatic plea. "My client has suffered emotional collapse at the hands of this man." Christine didn't even stand yet. She simply plugged in a USB drive. The courtroom speakers filled with Tina's voice, laughing, calling Daniel manageable, predictable, and clueless. The laughter in that video echoed through the courtroom like poison. Tina's expression crumbled as everyone watched her mockery in real time. Christine stood, calm and firm. "Your Honor, my client ended the engagement only after hearing this." He did not humiliate her. She humiliated herself. Then she submitted printed logs of burner calls, screenshots of unauthorized credit card purchases, and testimony from Daniel's co-workers about the fake rumors. When Tina muttered under her breath, "Carol, you weren't supposed to," half the courtroom heard it. The judge leaned forward, unimpressed. "Miss Daniels," he said sternly, "your behavior shows clear harassment, defamation, and malicious intent. You cannot torment someone and then play the victim." Mrs. Daniels tried to interject, but the judge silenced her with a hand. "You may speak when I permit you, ma'am." The ruling came quickly. Tina was ordered to stay at least 100 yards from Daniel's home and workplace, with no contact of any kind. Carol's name was added to the file as a known associate. For the first time in months, Daniel finally exhaled. As the gavel struck, silence filled the courtroom. Tina froze, tears spilling down her cheeks, not from remorse but from disbelief. She truly hadn't expected consequences. Mrs. Daniels sputtered, "This is unfair. We'll appeal," but even she looked defeated. Carol's smug grin faded into nervous silence as Christine turned to her with a faint smile. "I'd advise you, Miss Carol, to stay out of things that could get you sued." The words hit like a warning shot. Daniel gathered his papers quietly and walked out without looking back. Outside, the cold air felt cleansing. Christine patted his shoulder. "It's over, legally at least." Daniel nodded, his voice low. "You saved my sanity, Christine. I don't even know how to thank you." She smiled. "By not marrying women who go live about you." They both laughed, just a little. For the first time in months, he felt like himself again. In the days that followed, the silence was almost unsettling. No more blocked calls. No more burner numbers. His phone was still, his inbox empty. When he woke up in the mornings, there was peace instead of anxiety. He changed all his passwords, locked down his social media, and began cutting away every leftover tied to that relationship: joint subscriptions, online deliveries, shared accounts. Each cancellation felt like reclaiming a piece of himself. Christine also sent one final letter to Mr. Samuel, outlining the legal consequences of any further harassment. It was clear and ruthless. Any additional false statement, whether direct or through a third party, will trigger a civil suit for defamation and damages. Carol was named explicitly. Within days, rumors about Tina and Carol's strong woman versus toxic man campaign disappeared from the internet. The fear of lawsuits worked faster than any apology ever could. Daniel also cleaned up his social circle. The people who had mocked him or tried to guilt-trip him into forgiving Tina were quietly removed. "I don't need spectators," he told one mutual friend who tried to mediate. "If they couldn't stand by me when I was humiliated, they don't deserve front-row seats now." The friends who stayed, the ones who believed him without hesitation, became his true circle. He heard through acquaintances that Tina's life had unraveled quickly. The deposits, the legal bills, the public embarrassment, all of it had drained her savings. She'd moved back in with her parents, and the wedding talk that once filled her social media had vanished. Her mother was furious about the restraining order being public record, and her father, the quiet one, had reportedly told her, "Actions have consequences." For Tina, the dream wedding turned into a cautionary tale. Daniel didn't feel triumphant. There was no victory dance, no smug satisfaction. Just quiet exhaustion and a bittersweet peace. Sometimes, he caught himself wondering if she ever truly loved him or if he had been a convenience from the start. But every time he remembered that live stream, her laughter, her words, the doubt faded. "She thought I was clueless," he murmured one night while washing dishes. "Turns out, I was just too trusting." Months passed. Daniel focused on his work, started going to the gym again, even began sketching on weekends, a hobby he'd abandoned during wedding planning. The quiet became comforting. He realized healing wasn't dramatic. It was made up of small, ordinary days where nothing hurt anymore. When colleagues asked if he was dating again, he'd just smile and say, "Not yet. Future me can handle that." For now, he was content rebuilding without noise. And one evening, while watching the sunset from his balcony, Daniel finally let the last bit of tension go. The city hummed below, soft and distant. The chaos, the betrayal, the courtroom battles, all of it felt like another lifetime. He raised his glass slightly, whispering to himself, "To peace." The faintest smile touched his lips. Tina once said he was clueless. But in the end, it was she who never understood that love built on mockery and lies was never love at all. Please like, comment, and do not forget to subscribe.